you?
Ciao Edu, hello everyone. Well, a new leader in Serie A, the derby, everything is hotting up. So if I was you, I wouldn't miss the next 30 minutes.
And I also want to know your opinion. You can leave a comment in this live stream or even in the comment section on YouTube, and you will have also the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet. Also, Danny will reply to all your questions. And do not forget, if you enjoy the video, click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get all the notifications whenever we publish new content. So, Danny, let's start with the games we have on Friday afternoon, evening. Fiorentina, Spezia. Oh my God, what a season Fiorentina is doing. They are only 7 points away from relegation after the defeat against Sampdoria. Despite Vlahovic's great numbers, he scored a new goal against Sam. And be careful because they face Spezia. They beat Milan and they did it very comfortably before they beat Sassuolo, so they are actually far away right now from the relegation zone. So, Danny, Fiorentina is really favorite here, but I don't know if we should trust the odds given all the things that I said.
Well, if we look at Fiorentina's form at home, they only scored 11 goals, so they are the third worst attack when they play at Franchi. Whereas Spezia, they won 4 away games, and if you look at the away table, they are 8th. However, Spezia is going to miss a couple of players, Erlich, Bastoni, Terzi, but they seem to be able to do it even when they are without their main man. In fact, in the last 9 goals they score, they've been scored by 9 different players, and so they could do it easily without Zola, which probably might return for this game. Fiorentina are still without Ribéry. Maybe there is a start for the Russian Kokorin. They basically lost the last game in Genoa when Sampdoria put up more attacking player and they couldn't respond. It's a very tight one. I'm going to go for goals also because this time, yes, Ribéry should be back. So both to score 1.95.
Yes, difficult to trust Fiorentina as well, in my opinion. Friday, we have a relegation battle, very important one. In Sardinia with Cagliari, Torino. One is in the relegation zone. The other one is above, only 2 points because Torino, they drew against Genoa, making 5 draws in a row in Serie A, whereas Cagliari, they lost at the very last minute against Atalanta. Last 9 Serie A games, Danny, 1 draw, 8 defeats. So for sure, Torino is arriving a bit better to this important clash.
Well, I think Torino under Nicola, as we said, they are getting back the fighting spirit at least, but they can't just draw themselves away from the relegation zone. They need to win some games. They're just drawing so far, and they kept, though, the second clean sheet in 5 games, so obviously there is more balance in the team, and the only 2 wins of this season came away from home. So be careful with Bellotti and company when they travel. And actually, they scored 18 away from home, 5 more goals than what Cagliari scored at home. That's easily said. Cagliari have been absolutely awful this season, both at home and away. Does not, there is basically no difference. They scored 38 goals so far, minus 14 compared to what they scored last season, and at home they've only collected 9 points. So it's been almost a free falling. Last season, at the stage of the season, they were 8th, and this season they are leaking goals, they are not scoring enough, so they are really in a desperate situation, despite having played a decent good half in the last game against Atalanta, but yet they lost again. I think something's gonna give this time for Torino. I can see them improving. It's a very high odd, 2.6, but let's go for the Granata win this time.
Okay, we win here in Sardinia. Then on Saturday, we have at the Olimpico, Lazio Sampdoria. The amazing run of Lazio of 6 straight victories came to an end against Inter, only 2 points away from the Champions League spots, though the team trained by Inzaghi. Remember that they have a Champions League game in the middle of next week against Bayern Munich, and before they face Sampdoria, an uncomfortable team They beat Fiorentina, team that you asked to be a little bit more aggressive, and that victory against Fiorentina, Danny, came with a goal scored by Quagliarella. Now he is in the second place of all-time scorers for the Blue Cerchiati, only after Roberto Mancini. Quagliarella making history for sure, and the odds for Lazio very low, 1.72.
I wouldn't trust Lazio so much. I think it's going to be a difficult game for them, simply because they do play well against teams that leave you space to run into, especially for the two wing-backs, Lazzari and Marusic. But with Inter, we saw when another team closes the space, makes the pitch tight, they do struggle sometimes to go through the middle, despite having a great goal scorer like Immobile. But basically, he was very quiet in the game at San Siro. Against Inter, Lazio, they left themselves exposed. Their line was too high. Also, the choices of formation wasn't great. I'm not sure why Hurt play. Obviously, he was probably the worst player in the pitch in the first half. They just bought Musacchio. Maybe he's a more rapid option. We might see him. And they lost the physical battles as well. It's going to be a physical game against Sampdoria, because Sampdoria are very well equipped to put up a good battle. And when they play with two up front, which Ranieri, being Ranieri, doesn't do always, they are very dangerous. But if they play with Keita and Quagliarella, and maybe with Torregrossa as well, and sometimes they put Candreva in, the ex-Lazio man, they can give you some troubles. They won already 4 away games this season. They got 10 points more compared to last season. So Ranieri, despite his, let's say, defensive play, he's doing well. It's going to be a tight game. Lazio is going to think about the game against Bayern Munich soon. So let's go for an under 2.5 goals, and that pays 2.36.
Okay, not many goals at the Olimpico. Then we have Genoa, Verona, probably two of these teams that they are not going to play for anything until the end of the season, too far away from Europe and also from the relegation. But Genoa is still doing very well. They were in danger of being relegated only some weeks ago, and they drew against Torino after 3 straight victories. Now 10 points above relegation, so almost safe. And they face Verona, a team that beat Parma, coming back from behind, but they are not really informed. Danny, the odds here suggest us a draw, but actually Genoa arrives to this game way better than the rival.
Unbeaten in 6, only conceded 1 goal in the last 6 games. 3 consecutive wins at home. A good point for them at Torino. Obviously, that's very good for them. You know, they continue the decent run, and you know, they have the chances to move up the table, which you know, is a good opportunity just to achieve safety a little bit earlier. I'm not sure if they can push for a European spot yet, but nonetheless, Barlardini is doing a great job since he returned to the bench. Verona, a win, a home, and they did it without their main man, which is Zaccagni. So Zaccagni is back, but they're gonna miss probably one of the best wing backs, the revelation of the season, Di Marco. 3 goals, 5 assists. Again, he was very influential in the game against Parma at home on Monday, so they have to do it without Di Marco, and they don't travel pretty well. Verona, they are 12th in the away table, only scored 11 away from home, 3 consecutive defeats. So I think it's going to be a tough one yet for Juric, who's back. Marassi, the Verona manager, used to manage Genoa. So let's give Genoa a slight advantage. Asian handicap of 0, 1.99. Again, remember, you get your money back if they draw.
Yeah, a draw. That is what George is thinking. Actually, he thinks that Genoa and Verona will draw because Genoa is in good form and Verona away form is also good. 2 teams that are in the middle of the table, same as the next 2, Sassuolo, Bologna, another 2 teams that they will be, I guess, in the middle of the table for the rest of the season. Sassuolo were in a really bad form, but at least they beat Crotone on the road thanks to a goal scored by Caputo, 6 winless games before. And Bologna also played in the south of Italy against Benevento. They drew, in this case was Sansone, scoring, and before they were able to beat Parma. So really 2 teams that are pretty similar right now. Here, Sassuolo favorite again, odds 2.36. You are very keen on Sassuolo, Danny. I don't know if you fancy them or the draw also could be an option here.
I think the odds for Sassuolo are very high compared where the two teams are, the class that the two teams have, where last year Sassuolo finished. We know Sassuolo have been in a bad spell, in a bad patch, but I think they can do much more than what we've seen, and it's not by chance that they played well at Crotone once Domenico Berardi is back in the team. He's missed for a month. He came back with a goal, was dangerous, and overall, the attacking display of Sassuolo was good. 6 away wins. They still have 8 points compared to last season. Can they catch Lazio? Can they go to Europe again? They can qualify. They could qualify for the Europa League again for the second time on the history. I think this game will tell us. And also, they play. I see you shaking your heads. You don't have to trust in Sassuolo, but I'll tell you why. Because they play Bologna, who not only misses many chances, and they did it against Benevento. They clearly lack a number 9. Yes, they won 3-0 in Parma, but if you look at the stats of Musabarro, Sansone, Orsolini, they don't have the goal scorers, really. Someone who can score the simple goals. And also, Bologna have already lost 6 away games, 16 in the away table. So I can see the Nero Verdi hugely favorite for this one. You could go for an outright market, Sassuolo win, but if you want to triple your money, go for Sassuolo to score in both halves. One from Caputo, one from Berardi, and you get 3 odds, money in the bank.
I mean, I'm not saying that they are not going to win this game. I'm saying that the European spots are very high, very far from there. I think this year is difficult in Serie A, so I don't think they have enough quality, but let's see. There's still many games in this season. Then we have Parma Udinese. This game is important for the table, especially for Parma, because, Danny, there is no reaction even with D'Aversa on the bench. The last victory was really long ago, 13th of November. During the weekend, they lost again against Hellas Verona, and now they face Udinese, a team that lost against Roma easily, 3-0, but they were coming from back-to-back victories against Verona and Spezia, so they were a bit better. Udinese playing with Llorente up front. We say the same every week and every week. Is this the weekend of the reaction for Parma?
Well, no, probably not. They've only scored. No, let's put it straight. They've only scored 3 goals at home in the entire season. I can't understand why they've been so bad in a team. Okay, they lost Kulusevski to Juventus. Okay, they lost Darmian to Inter. But they did bring other players in, and they tried to replace. They had to change the manager. They sacked Liverani. So it's really something not right there. Maybe it's the system, maybe it's the bad form, and maybe they are too reliant on Gervinho producing the magic. They just can't see games out. We saw it when they played away at Sassuolo. They were winning, they let it slip. At Verona, they played 20 good minutes. Again, they let it slip for silly mistake. They haven't scored at home since October in the last 8 games. This is awful. Probably one of the worst records in Europe. Pelé, who they bought back from China, is still injured, so I can't see them really solving their scoring problems. Udinese, strangely, very leaky at the back in Rome. Normally, they are not that bad, but in the first half, were all over the place, and Roma's pace hit them very, very hard. In the end, there was a good reaction in the second half, but it was too late. And for Udinese, probably was a fluke. First time they failed to score since November. So don't look at the result they achieved in Roma to bet on this one. Go for an Udinese win, 2.14.
Oh, poor Parma. We all love that historical Parma with Thuram, Cannavaro, Buffon, but this is another team. They went really down in the Italian categories. Now they are back in Serie A, but struggling. Then, Danny, the game of the games, Partita Scudetto, like we say in Italy, title decisive game, Derby della Madonnina, first against the second, and there was a sorpasso last weekend because Milan lost in an awful game against Spezia, no shots on target, something that they didn't do it since October 2019, whereas Inter, they beat really well Lazio 3-1 in the last 5 Serie A games, 4 victories, 1 draw. So for sure, if we check the odds, we see how Inter is arriving way better to this derby. Odds 2.16 now for Inter. The logic tells us, Danny, that Inter is favorite. They should win. Milan, they are playing also Europa League. Do you also agree with everything that I'm saying?
There is no logic in a derby. There is no logic in a Milan derby in Italy. These games are unpredictable. We saw it last season. Milan was winning 2-0 at the halftime, and they lost 4-2. We saw in the Coppa Italia game, Inter won at the very last minute. In the reverse fixture, Milan won. Now, if we look at the form, Milan are in here. They are tired. They look tired. They have been looking tired since they lost to Atalanta a month ago. But this is because they started the season earlier than anybody. They traveled to Shamrock Rovers on the 17th of September to play the first competitive game. That's not easy, considering the squad that they have and the injury they had. The problem is that once they start losing that physical sharpness, the limits of the team emerge. Zlatan can't always do everything, especially because the midfielders recently haven't been scoring much apart from Kessie. So Pioli has some issues to solve. And also, they travel to Belgrade on Thursday, so we don't know the result of this game at the time of recording this video. But, if I want to prepare a derby first with second, I'd rather stay in Milan than going to the Maracanã or Belgrade. I think that's obviously clear. Inter, first goal conceded against Lazio in the last 5, and it was an unlucky goal, an unlucky deflection. So obviously the strength now is at the back, and also Conte showed us that maybe he has a plan B, playing with Eriksen and Brozovic together. They play with two players that can get the ball out of their midfield, and Inter looks out of a sudden a little bit more creative and with more option that is not just ball to Lukaku and let's hope he'll do the rest. So also Inter, they have the first week they can rest fully from the beginning of the season because, shame on them. They've been knocked out of the Champions League, but that means they can rest finally after such an exhausting rounds of fixture. And I think these things still count. 54 goals scored, plus 10 compared to last season. Let's go for goals. Over 3. Slightly conservative. So if they score 3, you get your money back. But it might be more. Over 3, 2.25.
Yeah, there is no Catenaccio anymore in Italy. We are enjoying
goals. Long gone.
Yeah, so we are enjoying a lot. One good question is, will Zlatan and Lukaku fight again?
Well, I don't think all the eyes will be on them, but I think they've learned the lesson. So they'll keep quiet.
There might be some bookie actually opening this market for sure in the UK or Asia, and it will be fun to bet on this market. I would do it actually. Then we have a very good game also, apart from, of course, this Derby della Madonnina. All our eyes will be in Milan, but not far from Milan, actually very close. In Bergamo, we have Atalanta-Napoli. They just played in Coppa Italia, and Atalanta beat Napoli 3-1. Atalanta, remember, they are playing on Sunday, but then they are playing Champions League against Real Madrid. And it's a team that is struggling lately. They were able to beat Cagliari on the road with a late goal scored by Muriel. 6 goals in this 2021 for Muriel, more than any other player in this period. So the Colombian striker is on fire. And Napoli, with Gattuso almost asking for new jobs, they were able to beat Juventus. They are playing Granada. They are facing Granada in the Europa League. So Atalanta favorite, Danny. Napoli is struggling on the road in this Serie A in the last games. But maybe they are able to surprise Gasperini's men, taking in consideration that Atalanta also will keep an eye on this clash against Real Madrid.
I think the cup is gonna be a distraction for both, but this is a very difficult one to read, especially if you go for the outright market, because Napoli, if you look at the away table, they are 7th, only 3 points above Spezia, and Atalanta in the home table, they are 8th, below Verona and Lazio. No wins in the last 3 home games for Atalanta, except from the Coppa Italia tie against, of course, Napoli. The problem with Atalanta at the moment, they are scraping wins. So it's not a bad thing after all. You know, if you manage to win for the odd goal and suffering a little bit, is not too bad, but I think they're gonna struggle a little bit to keep the recent form. Maybe they need a little bit more rest for some key players, and I'm still not convinced that the players they brought in the summer, especially Miranchuk, Lammers, they really provide enough goals, assists, and create enough play in order to replace the missing Gomez, which is doing great as Sevilla. So we'll probably find out if Atalanta will live to regret to have let Gomez go so quickly, although Pessina is doing well in the recent season. Napoli, they will come back after the trip to Spain, to Granada, but they have a lot of absentees. The list is as long as my arm. I mean, Lozano, Mertens, Petagna, Manolas, Koulibaly, Hisai, Gulam, and I think even Ospina, although Meret did great against Juventus. Too many absentees. Then you got the return against Granada. I don't know. I can see them struggling, really. They want to hit Atalanta on the counter, but they miss a few key players, especially El Chucky Lozano. Atalanta to win. When I checked, it was 2.01. Now it's 1.97. Let's go for Atalanta win.
Yeah, Atalanta really favorite. 2 teams that they need to win actually to be closer to the top 4 to the Champions League. In the Champions League spots, Roma always criticize the job of Fonseca. But again, Roma played a very good game against Udinese, 3-0. Actually, the third goal was like tiki-taka style. At the end, the goal was scored by Pedro, but on the road they struggle. Atalanta, Lazio, and Juve, all defeats. That was the last 4 away games. We know that Roma is a team that struggle against big teams. Benevento is not a big team, of course. They are doing well. They drew against Bologna. They are 9 points above relegation, so almost safe, but this is the kind of game that Roma is winning this year, Danny.
Yeah, Roma have been outstanding against the so-called small teams. They will make changes in Braga, so they'll probably play the first team in Benevento. Remember, Roma, they never been so close to the top of the league in the last 5 or 6 years since Rudy Garcia left. So they really have a good chance in hand to qualify for the Champions League and, you know, be there and establish themselves as a real top team now with the new American ownership as well. So this is a game to win for Fonseca, who's slightly, I see you're doubtful, but, you know, it's just, you have to look at the points. Fonseca is slightly less under pressure. They make peace with Dzeko, so the Bosnian might start again. However, Roma away, so 11th in the table. They need to do better, but they got more points than last year. Benevento a home, no wins in the last 4, conceded 9 goals in the last 4, and lost to almost all the top teams at home. Milan, Atalanta, Inter, Napoli managed to draw against Juventus and Lazio at the beginning of the season. I think in Bologna, Inzaghi's men were a bit lucky because Bologna missed a few chances. I can see Roma dominating the game and scoring in both halves. That pays 2.15.
Danny, don't say that Roma is very close to the top of the table, because every time they have a chance to do something, they lose. This is the history of
the next game is against Milan at home. You know, you win that. Yeah. You're second.
Yeah, of course.
Zaniolo at some point will be back once.
You know the history of Roma, and every time they
but
something, they lose. But let's see, they are close, and it's a very strange season everywhere. So maybe, who knows? They have some chance. Also, a chance could have Juve. They are still far away from the top of the table. They are 4th now after that defeat against Napoli. But for sure, after the trip to Porto in the Champions League today, actually on Wednesday, they are playing there. they should beat Crotone, the worst team in this Serie A, going straight away to the Serie B. Actually, Crotone are the first side to have conceded 52 goals after the first 22 matches of the season in Serie A since Lecce in the 97-98. So we always say that it's a team leaking goals. And apart from Juve winning this game, Danny, you will have to find a bet here. Also, it's fun now how Pirlo was criticizing Morata, a player that I don't really like, actually. And at the beginning of the season, he was scoring goals. Now Dybala is injured, so he has the option to score more goals. But this connection with Cristiano Ronaldo is not really working, no? And he misses a lot of chances, by the way, against Napoli.
He was the culprit, really, to miss a few chances. Morata, I don't know. Cristiano comes into the middle too much. Morata seems to don't open the space for him that well. Cristiano probably has a better partner in Dybala. Now, when he comes back, the Argentine, we have to see how Pirlo makes coexist Dybala, Ronaldo, and Chiesa, who's also important on the other flank. So probably this game is a game for experiments. You play the worst team in Serie A. You play a team that is basically Serie B already. Maybe he will play with three up front, and Juventus will try to enjoy a little bit more chances and make most of the chances they create. In Napoli, let's be honest, they deserve at least a point in the end. It costed them a little bit to get started because in the first half, Napoli blocked them well, but then Meret was probably the best the best player in the pitch. So I think Juventus will be coming here quite comfortably. Again, we don't know the results at Porto, but I can't imagine Juventus losing in Portugal. So they play a team, we say Crotone. I mean, they're always good value to watch. If you watch a Crotone game, you're not going to get bored also because going forward, they are interesting. Now they brought Unas. He scored a great goal against Sassuolo the weekend. It was great when he scored against Milan. The problems is basically just from the midfield going back, and they don't have bad players in defense either. It's just the way they play. They are too exposed. If you look at Crotone, when they travel, so far they scored 9, but they conceded 30. So that's the average of 2.72 goals conceded per games. Any Asian handicap you have to go -3, -3.5 to have any value, really. So just go maybe for Juventus to win both halves, 2.25.
Yeah, we can check now the Asian handicap. Actually, you have to go -3 to find odds 3.55. It's already high odds. It's risky, especially because they will be tired, no, after the important game in the Champions League against Porto. So, well, we have very good games. This Serie A, I would say, is the most exciting tournament for sure in Europe right now because La Liga, Premier League, and Bundesliga are decided. So, Danny, to make it even more exciting, let's check your ACCA for this weekend.
Okay, let's try. Fingers crossed. Genoa Verona, double chance, 1x. Sassuolo to win. Atalanta, both teams to score. No, only one team to score between Atalanta and Napoli. Roma winning in Benevento. And Asian handicap for Juventus because it's the ACCA, -2. And the total odds, very high, 27.49.
Okay, we have your ACCA. We will write it down in the comment section in the YouTube video. Then, Danny, we have everything to enjoy a new match day in Serie A. Thank you very much. And for everyone watching, you can still win a £10 free bet with Novibet. Just write a comment below and you will participate in the draw. And do not forget to help us. If you enjoyed the video, click on the like button, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get all the notifications. Also, remember that you can listen to all our videos in our podcast, and next week we have more Serie A, we have more Daniele Fisichella for sure, and exciting games. See you next week.
Ciao. See you soon.